and you're all very welcome along to Series 4, Episode 2 of Champ.ie's Road to Cheltenham Challenge, brought to you in association with Boylesports, Croak Park Racecourse and Syndicates.Racing. Talking all things Cheltenham, the top performances over the past week, and answering your big questions every Monday. Barry Doyle and Ronan Groome will once again go head-to-head by giving one Ante-Post selection each week until the 2024 festival in March.
Over the last, the better jump came through American Mike and leads back to file deep in the closing stages. It's a super Sunday for historic Troytown winner Gordon Elliott. American Mike first go over fences and Julio obliges from back to file. Let's go Champ, remote third.
Showing over 44 points profit from 132 point stake since 2020, the Champ.ie Road to Cheltenham Challenge Show is this season bidding to secure 4 years of Ante-Post profit in a row. The lads look forward to discussing your Week 2 selections, and don't forget it's important to update your full Ante-Post portfolio in the comments to help us keep track. Give this video a like for more Cheltenham content, and be sure to subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
So, hello and welcome back to Season 4, Episode number 2 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Myself and the Golden Groom. Monday nights are back, Mr. Groom. And you were up at Navan. It was the Gordon Elliott and Gavin Cromwell show.
Very much so. Very much home field to it. And now Navan was on wheels at the weekend. Great to see. Navan Racing Festival, a brand new thing. It's somewhat of an interesting feeling now, trying to transcribe the trainer quotes from the Mayor's Hurdle and the tent beside you going absolutely ballistic, singing Dirty Old Town at 1 o'clock of the day. Unbelievable. So it was great to see. I believe the car park outside was so full they had to bring them up from Simonstown GAA Club on buses. So huge crowds there. Obviously, Gordon did the business in the Troytown and a load of other big performances besides. So very looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Yeah, Irish racing at its finest. Of course, plenty of festivals upcoming as well. Big thanks to our sponsors, of course, Croak Park Racecourse. The Tayestes Day, the big day, of course, in the southeast. Of course, Ireland's premier racetrack in the southeast, Croak Park Racecourse. We look forward to being on course, Mr. Groom, for Tayestes Chase Day, which is, of course, on the 25th of January. And also thanks to our sponsors, Boylesports, our betting partner, and Syndicates.Racing, who, of course, it was great to hear from Jack Cantillon on the Thursday show. If anyone hasn't heard Jack speaking in relation to all the opportunities for Syndicates.Racing, be sure to go over and watch our Thursday episode. A good feature with Jack Cantillon. It was great to have him on. And of course, very kind of Jack to give €50 off to each and every one of our Champ.ie followers when typing the Champ code, all caps, into the checkout when selecting your horse. There's plenty of opportunities to get involved in racehorse ownership. So it was brilliant to have Jack on the show, but we're going to roll on with our preview, Mr. Groom. And we had unbelievable interest once again in the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. Of course, the prize on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival, a VIP trip for two to the Boylesports Irish Grand National on April the 1st. And we have to mention as well, Roland, that we had over 80 entries and we're still updating the spreadsheet. Lots of portfolios up for spotlight very soon. And it's great to have that interest.
It's a serious going, Basil. Like, it's nearly humbling to see it. You know, we're you've done a great job with this thing, in fairness to you, from bringing it up from the start, and it's great to be growing it even further this year, and people want to get involved and want to put in their selections, and it's great for us to chat through them and look through them, and we all have the same interest and all have the same goals of backing winners at the Cheltenham Festival. So great to see it.
And anyone who didn't see our selections last week, of course, I went with Wilmount for the Supreme Novices Hurdle at 16-1, kindly enhanced by Boylesports. And Roland's first selection, he's played it safe, very, very solid. Allegorie de Vasse for the Mayor's Chase 4-1. And yeah, we'll be putting up a selection on each and every one of our 20 episodes. And let's hope we can keep in profit for a fourth year in a row, Mr. Groom. Right. First section of the show, lots to get stuck into. November meeting, of course, at Cheltenham. We 3 days of it. You mentioned the Navan Racing Festival as well. We tried to be very selective with our performances that we're going to highlight this year. So 3 for you, 3 for me. We'll go one each. And these are the performances with a view to the Cheltenham Festival that we've taken this week, and we've rated them, Ronan Groome. And I've taken the top 3, you've taken the bottom. And why don't you kick us off with American Mike?
He's good now. Great to see. It was great to see Gordon got a great kick out of this now. Probably bigger than the Tri-Town, to be honest with you. Noel Moran was there with his big group of friends, and we all know put a lot into the game. Probably hasn't had the what he's deserved out of what the money is, whether he deserved it or not. But for the amount of money he's put into the game, probably hasn't seen as much top class horses as he thought he might have. But great to see American Mike back. Let's not beat around the bush. He was very disappointing last season over hurdles. He couldn't jump really. I think he bled at one point, which is always a worry, and probably still a worry going forward. But he was pretty good here now. He jumped brilliantly. I believe Jack Henne's done a huge amount of deal. Gordon was quick to point it out after the race. He's done a lot of schooling with him, tried different things with him just to get him sweetened back up again, and jumped beautifully here. You probably would have thought coming down to second last, that Factor File was kind of looming up on the outside of him. I'm sure he traded a decent enough price at that point. American Mike probably up, definitely odds against anyway. I didn't check what he traded, but I'd say Factor File was odds on at that point. And a big old jump from American Mike on the inside of Blast, and that kind of sealed it, and he stayed on really strongly. I just think it was good from where he was last season. Like, he was a busted flush towards the end of last season. He couldn't win a listed hurdle at Navan. Now he's back beating probably the number one touted novice chaser from the William Mullins camp, would it be fair to say, and put him in his place and the pair of them, put 21 lengths between them. Obviously a lot more to do. That's just a beginner's chase, but it was a pretty good beginner's chase. I believe he goes for the Grade 1 Faheen novices chases now on Limerick, and he has to be a live chance for the Turner's novice chase at this point, all being well. But with that caveat that if he did bleed last season, that probably would be a bit of a worry. So just because he was good here doesn't mean he's back on track now. He probably needs to see it again, but very positive start from him.
Yeah, and I think the way he battled as well, he needs to be given full credit. You know, the way he battled, obviously, when Factor File came up sides. And I think he was very free in the run, wasn't he? And lots of people speaking about Factor File, for example, for Brown Advisory. We gave him a good mention on the show last week. But the way he travelled early in the race, would you be... I'm not sure. I'm not saying you bring him back to a 2 mile trip, but I think a strong run 2.5 mile will suit him. He's going to come on plenty for that. I wouldn't get too disheartened if you're a Factor File fan. I think there's lots more to come from him. But I think the encouraging part for American Mike fans is, you know, how he finished out his race and up that Navan Hill. And I don't think the victory ever looked in doubt. So congratulations anyone that did back American Mike. Right. Next performance to look at, Mr. Groome, is Facile Vega on the stale. Let's stick with Navan. I wasn't blown away now, I have to say. I've given it a 3.5 star, and there's probably going to be a couple of stones thrown at me here. In terms of Facile Vega, look, the front two very good horses. I think In the Pocket is going to probably be seen to best effect when stepping up and trip to 2.5. Is Facile Vega the same, though? I mean, was he gaining lengths at every single fence? No. Was he electric like, you know, some of the 2 mile novices that Willie has sent for this race, or 2 mile beginner chases in the past over the last couple of seasons? Obviously, Willie's record when it comes to Arkle chases at the Cheltenham Festival, he's gone for his 7th Arkle win, Ronan Groome, in 10 seasons. So that's going to be incredible. And look, Facile Vega, I thought one thing to say about him, he was very, very accurate. He sat in second. He didn't really have much competition in second. Like, there was no one upsides pestering him, like we've seen, for example, in his novice hurdles last season. So I think he was able to relax. He settled a lot better than he did last year, and I thought he was very accurate at his jumps. But in terms of his jump and speed for 2 mile trips, I just wonder, I know Turner's has been mentioned as well, I just wonder, would he be better up in trip? And I thought the two of them, I'm not saying they're short of toe, but they weren't exactly gaining at every single fence, I felt anyway. And that's why I suppose 3.5 stars I've gone with Facile Vega. I'm not denying the horse's quality. I thought he jumped. He didn't make any mistakes, in fairness to him, but I just thought his jumping speed, he didn't blow me away, shall we say. And I thought the horse to take out of the race, certainly, going forward with a view to 2.5 mile trips for sure, is In the Pocket. Thought he stayed on very, very well in second. And there's a tracker horse in behind that I want to mention in our tracker section, so stay tuned for that. Any comments on that before moving on to?
No, I won't. No, I won't keep. I largely agree with you. I thought his jumping kind of warmed up, but he was a bit slow earlier on. Yeah, I think if you were taking him and American Mike, you'd be slightly more impressive with American Mike, which is basically what we've done with the stars there. So we're kind of in agreement.
Yes, so let's move on. Well, let's have a look at your second one, Stage Star. Now, you've been very, very consistent with your star ratings. So you've gone 4 stars on each of your picks this week. But Stage Star, for me, I thought it was a hell of a performance. He, unlike the horses we've mentioned, didn't get an easy lead. Jumped well. It seems to be his real. It seems to be real 2.5 mile around Cheltenham specialist. And I thought it was a hell of a performance.
It's a huge performance, yeah. Jumped him silly from the start, bar the last, obviously, where he's managed to genuflect completely and looked like he's going to throw the race away, and then still had enough in him to go and beat Not Long Till May, basically in what was a kind of rehash of the Turner's Novice Chase, but obviously he's conceding a lot more weight to Not Long Till May this time, and he's only conceding £3, but probably beating more convincingly when you take in the fact that he's made a horrendous mistake at the last and still managed to win by the same distance. And there's a good few long gap to the third and fourth home, and the form looks pretty solid, to be honest with you. You can't really argue with it. He's going to be into 4-1, I think, roughly around that price. The Ryanair seems fair enough. I thought Nichols was interesting after saying he wouldn't lose any sleep on the horse running straight into the Ryanair, which is interesting. Good if you're an anti-post punter, I suppose, and that's what you want to get involved in, but not really great for the rest of the season. You want to see these horses run a bit more. I doubt he would. I'd say he'd run at least once more. But as you say, that 2.5 miles around Cheltenham is a real specialist track, and he's obviously very good at it. He jumps for fun usually, and he's got to be a huge chance now against.
I was surprised. I was very, very surprised at him, Ronan, because I thought, to be fair, in the Turner's Novices Chase, I thought he got an easy lead, and he didn't back up the form, obviously, then at entry, but I thought it was a massive performance by him, and credit to the team, Paul Nichols, etc., and the right Harry Cobden as well. He didn't panic. The real whacker was up there in the van. He was very disappointed, went out like a light. But yeah, considering the mistake he made, and to pick up when virtually he went from, he went obviously from full tilt to almost coming to a standstill, and to be able to pick up and do what he done, I thought was a very good performance. Obviously, that was the November handicap, the feature on Saturday. I want to mention Burdett Road, because
this was good.
I thought this was very, very, very good, and I saw some comments saying shades of O'Connor. Calm down, lads. It's obviously the November meeting.
Jesus, it's funny that you should say that. When I saw him coming up like that, I just for a brief second thought the same as well. Just the way he travelled into race, how confident was Cobden? He was 8th. He only one behind him at the second last.
Well, on our ratings, he's the best performance of the weekend, and I think there's probably lots of people in the comments that won't be disagreeing with us. And I couldn't get over Harry Cobden, how much he was glowing about the horse after the race, in all his interviews, in all the post-race comments, even the trainer. Very, very, very positive about Burdett Road. And I remember, obviously, I was working at the time, and it was cut straight into, and the Ante-Post markets was getting emails through from Alan Riley. The horse was cut into, I think it was 10-1 originally. From big double figure prices, and within 5 minutes you were looking at 7-1, and I'm not sure if 7-1 is actually held on Burdett Road, but I think obviously they've come for him 2 from 2 now over hurdles. He was settled a lot better, Roland, this time round than on his hurdles bow at Huntington. Obviously, he's come with a real decent rating as well from the flat, because we've seen lots of French types coming to Willie Mullins, for example, but in recent years we haven't seen, I suppose, too many highly rated flat horses translate over hurdles. So I think it's really exciting. I mean, he's rated 102 on the flat. He obviously placed in the Winter Hill Group 3 in the summer, over a mile and 2 furlongs. So he's form as well over a mile. So this fella has plenty of boot. He absolutely, I think it was the first flight down the back. He nearly took it with him. I think it was the third last as well. But the ground he made up, it was like as if he was just dropped in, wasn't it? Turning in for home. And there was lots of comments as well saying that Harry Cobden had left him maybe a lot to do. But by God, did he pick up? He sprinted off the back of the last and made a mistake at the last as well. And bear in mind, that was all on soft ground as well, Roland, because his form on the flat was all on good to firm.
He left him a lot to do, but he knew what he had is the main thing to say. Like he knew he was like on a.
Were you tempted to put him in this week?
At the price, yeah. I was half looking at him, to be honest with you. I guess that you're always thinking with the Triumph Hurdle division, what's Willie got, what's he going to run at Christmas, etc. But like, how many horses will be rated as good as him coming off the flat, like a 102 type of horse. Like they all get sold to Middle East now, Hong Kong. There's very few of them anymore. I guess you might get the odd ex-Coolmore horse, Ballydoyle horse that ends up with Joseph, but not a lot of them work out. And he's obviously taken the hurdle straight away. You know, and just the way Cobden talks about him and rode him, like there's pure confidence. And yeah, you have to be impressed with him. I guess
the comment for me, though, Ronan, just the comment for me from Harry Cobden was when asked about Paul Nicholls juveniles, and he turned around straight away. He was very, very quick to answer. He said he hasn't anything as good as this at home. Now we know Paul Nicholls, his record with juvenile hurdlers, I suppose maybe prior to the last decade, but he always has exciting juveniles, and for Harry Cobden just to say that straight away, I thought was quite telling. Yeah.
No, I agree. He's a serious horse. So wait to see what Willie introduces maybe in this grade 3 at Fairyhouse coming up, and then there might be another one on St. Stephen's Day that you'll have a good idea then of what's in Ireland. But that 6-1 does look tempting, I guess, from what we've seen so far.
I was tempted this week, I have to say, and spoiler alert, it wasn't Burdett Road, but he is going to be on lots of shortlists. And actually, I'm not sure the name, Ronan Groome, but was updating the spreadsheet, and we did have a 25-1 at Burdett Road in the comments. So we'll try flag that up next week. But what a start that is after week number 1. Say 25-1 into 6-1. Right, Ronan, let's discuss John Bon, because when I was putting together that little introduction, our new fancy intro for the show, the question was it going to be American Mike and the famous Jerry Hannon, or was it going to be John Bon? Because I thought is he definitely a worthy second favourite for the champion chase off that, isn't he?
I think so. I think he showed you all you wanted to see. First time out here, actually his first ever win at Cheltenham, which was interesting, kind of reading after the race. That kind of passed me by a bit, but he's actually only been beaten by El Fabiolo and Constitution Hill there, so it's not like he didn't handle the track or anything.
It was aggressive, wasn't it?
It was. I guess I watched the race a couple of times today. Watched it live, thought it was really good. Watched it again, thought it was pretty good then. And then, I don't know, maybe when you watch something, you find fault in it. If you keep watching it, you will actually start getting negative. And I was just half wondering what's in behind and what they're up to. Was Edward Stone really given an absolute all-in ride there? Was the kind of gentle reintroduction to him? Did he really put him into the race? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't good enough. Maybe he wasn't good enough to get up to John Bon. Like, John Bon jumped really well. He got in close at the 9th, I think. And then after that, his next jump at the top of the hill was spectacular. And that's when Nico kind of sent him on then. And maybe that's when the rest of them had no answer to him. Like, you have to be pretty pleased with him. Done it on soft ground. And like all this chat last season, it seemed to be like, oh, go Ryanair straight away with John Bon, and people talking about going up and trip. Like he only came across. He's only 5 lengths off El Fabiolo in the Arkle. Like, fair enough, El Fabiolo is a good winner there, but like it's not a huge amount when you weigh things up, and that's like half a mistake in a 2-mile chase. You could get that back, and on different conditions. Like, why wouldn't you just go again and go down the champion chase route when he's that good? Why do you need to change things up straight away? I'm glad to see.
Should I be ashamed of myself? I was commenting underneath some comments in prior to the weekend saying that I'd love to see John Bon up to 3 miles. Obviously, he's come from the point-to-point circuit, but maybe scrap that idea after the weekend. But I thought it was a very, very solid performance, and he has to be. It looks A versus B now at this stage, really, doesn't it? In the champion chase, looks like the match will. Well, fingers crossed both horses get there in one piece, but it's hard to see too many coming from left field in that division, which is maybe in some ways slightly disappointing. But yeah, 4-star Ronan Groome for John Bon you went. And speaking about Navan Racing Festival and County Meath Racing, and there'll be a lot of Carlow versus Meath on this show going forward, but what do you call that? The World Hunt Union, is it? Up there in County Meath. Croak Park, when he retires, is he an absolute model to be like the leader of the World Hunt Union? Like, he's an absolute. This horse is beautiful looking horse, isn't he? And a real old fashioned chaser. I've given him a 3-star, not because of more to do with his Cheltenham prospects this year. I think this horse is a proper old fashioned chaser, and he was really tough, wasn't he? Grounded out in the Monksfields, of course, novices grade 3 hurdle, and thought it was a good piece of place. And obviously, Gordon has won this in the past with some nice types: Sam Crow, Death Duty, Fury Road. I'm not sure this lad's is quite as classy as them, but by God, is he tough, and he's going to be some staying chaser. Could be a Tri-Town winner maybe a couple of years down the line. But for me, they went a really decent pace, didn't they? Mel Monroe, who came with a big reputation herself last year from the point-to-point circuit. She made it a good test. I think Jack had to properly wind him up after the second last. You were up there. Don't know what you made of it, but I thought it was a good performance. But in terms of festival prospects this year, I'm not sure you'll be seeing this lad winning novice hurdles at the Cheltenham Festival or Aintree for that matter.
I share your concern a bit, yeah. I think Jack always thought he was getting there. Just the horse is dossing a bit, still a bit babyish. I believe he had a couple of problems last season, so he's probably still learning a bit on the job. He's huge. Seeing him walking around the parade ring there, he is massive. And you could even, if you watch the race back, and you could see Jack's on the inside there on them when they turn for home, or even the first time they kind of turned into the straight, and you could see Jack is higher, way higher than the other jockeys because he's on this thing. And I think 3 miles is ultimately where he's going to be seen at his best, probably over hurdles and definitely over fences. Where he goes next, Gordon probably said go straight for the Lawlers at Naas, which is interesting because he does save that race for his best novice hurdler. Think like Ginto, Death Duty, etc. And Boyala. So if he does go there, then you got to be thinking Ballymore. If he goes and wins that, is he going to be one of the contenders there? But I don't know. I'd say even the way he jumped the last there, a big kind of loopy kind of a jump, and probably going to be better over fences. So maybe they might take a handy with him this season. Wouldn't be surprised if they even skip Cheltenham altogether. I wouldn't run a horse as good as him in the Albert Bartlett. I wouldn't be. That's a absolute.
He did jump very, very big the whole way around as well. So I'd have to agree with that. So yeah, got to give him a 3. Look, I like the horse, but a 3-star rating. If it was a star rating for his name, you'd have to give him a 6-star, but a 3-star for this particular show. Croak Park, nice horse certainly going forward. Right, Ronan Groome. After the break, we're going to look at tracker horses over the course of the weekend. We did give a couple of spoiler alerts in terms of my tracker horses anyway. We're also going to look ahead after the break as well, the big race in focus this week. And just for viewers joining us this week that didn't see last week's episode, every single week we're going to look 2 weeks ahead to the big race Ante-Post. And this week, of course, is the Carl Gold Cup, the Carl Trophy at Newbury Gold Cup, of course, which was previously known as the Hennessy. And I think we'll always remember it as that, Ronan Groome. But you were going to look ahead to that. And we're going to answer a couple of questions from the viewers. Got some great engagement last week and lots of questions in. So for next week's episode, get your hashtag big question down below. Make sure to update your portfolio. And shall see you after the break.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran is your #1 choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2024 takes place on Thursday the 25th of January.
In the finish of the Goffs Thyestes, invitation only, and Ruby Walsh on the near side for Willie Mullins' 7th win of the race. Invitation only has beaten Outfitters Open.
With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit gowranpark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you all to Gowran Park Racecourse this winter.
We had justified favouritism, but sharp up like that in front, we're ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, Silver Lark, that'll be the finishing order.
Yes, and Syndicates.Racing, of course, if you haven't seen earlier on in the show, of course, horses with Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott, Henry the Bromhead, Joseph O'Brien, John McConnell, Gavin Cromwell, and a whole lot more. If you want to get involved in racehorse ownership, the €50 off Champ.ie discount code, type it into the checkout, Champ, all caps, to avail of that €50 off your first share in a Syndicates.Racing horse. And just to mention as well, Ronan Groome, that's Gowran Park memberships are, of course, 2024 memberships are available now on the website. So you can also get your early bird tickets in for Tayeste's Day, Thursday, has to be booked off work, and the Friday, I suggest, the 25th of January. So lots to look forward to. And we're going to head and talk about tracker horses next. And we both put a tracker horse in last week, Ronan Groome.
Can I go first?
You can. Yeah, go.
That's a beautiful segue in from your Tayeste's chat, because I think I have the horse to win it this year. Oh. And not an original one as such, because he was second in the race last year, but what a good run from Dunboyne in the Troytown on Sunday in behind Cocoa Beach. Now, I was out with Gordon's this morning, little press morning there. There was only a few of us there, so it was good to chat to Gordon, obviously in good form after a fantastic weekend. And I was asking him, what did you think? Obviously, Cocoa Beach was great, but what did you think of all the runners in behind? And Gordon, the first one he said was Dunboyne, thought it was a good run. And I kind of just backed up what I thought, because I watched the race back again last night when I got back in, just to see what was in behind, and he ran a lovely race on the seasonal debut. Now, Fakir Delane was the other one I thought ran a huge race, and he'll be interesting going forward as well. But just looking at Dunboyne's profile, his last two wins, or his last two runs at Gowran Park, one was a very impressive win over 2.5 miles, and the other was just bumping into carefully selected. The pair of them came clear in last year's Tayeste. So Gordon naturally mentioned his Tayeste again. If he went straight there, even, he'd have to have a huge chance. He's only £5 higher. So off the back of that run, I thought it was a big run. He likes soft, heavy ground. He stays really well. Can only get better after that. He's only an 8-year-old, not a huge amount of miles on the clock. So that would be my early shout for the Tayeste, the great race that it is. He could go one better this year.
There you go. Ronan Groome has put up the Tayeste's Chase Winner 2024. So he thinks. Right, let's talk Barry Tracker now. And Bertie's Ballet. I have two to throw into the mix this week, Roland. So if you ever fancy throwing two in, that's no problem, because we actually have set up our own separate At the Races tracker where we're tracking the horses from this particular show. So we can't miss when they are running. But Bertie's Ballet is the first horse I wanted to mention for Diane Sayre. Now, Weatherby 229, not the most... was on Saturday, shall we say, in the middle of Cheltenham, and there was a horse I was very keen to see. The horse was called Favour and Fortune in the Hemming Silks. Really nice novice hurdler, and could shape up into a very good novice this year for connections. And I was expecting this horse to win and win well, but catching the eye, staying on into second, was a horse that opened up 12-1, Bertie's Ballet, was backed into 9s, and had some good back form in bumpers as well. Had two-time bumper winner from 5 starts in bumper, from two-time bumper winner from 3 starts in bumpers, but has had 5 starts now in total on the racecourse. And I thought it was a really pleasing performance by this horse, and really caught the eye, staying on to second in the end. Only beaten 3 lengths by Favour and Fortune. I think that's decent form. And this is a horse I think that will land a nice pot this season for Diane Sayre, possibly up the north of England. And what I liked about it was it absolutely clattered the second last, still picked up and went on and ran on very, very strongly, coming clear of the third. So Bertie's Ballet, that goes into the tracker. Soft ground, I think 2.5 miles as well over hurdles will be smart. Spillane Tower. Not sure, did you see this, Roland, in that hot beginner's chase? Facile Vega in the pocket first and second. Saint Felicien stay back in third. But very interestingly, back and forth. 90 lengths behind the winner, Facile Vega. I thought there was lots to like about this performance. Spillane Tower went into the tracker in this section of the show last year as a novice hurdler. And you can put him in as a chaser as well, because there's a nice pot in this. JP McManus Silks for the Mangans travel very, very sweetly throughout, and I thought jumped particularly well, I thought, in this contest. I think stepping up and trip is definitely going to suit him as well, and he made eye-catching ground from the second to the third, or from the third to the second last, and his run kind of petered out at that stage and wasn't too busy now. So Spillane Tower, a nice type, and I think there could be a nice pot in him, Ronan Groome. That's the tracker horses from this week. And I love Gavin Cromwell's horse that won the bumper on Sunday. Only by night.
Oh, yeah. Only by night, yeah. Yeah. Ploughed through the ground.
Absolutely. It was a really good performance as well. And what would you do with her now, Roland, just quickly? Would you send her over hurdles, or would you think...
I would send her over hurdles straight away, but I believe the connections are keen to maybe stay in bumpers for the season, so I guess. But this is what happens when you have stupid, silly races like Grade 2 bumpers. Keep them there. Get them over hurdles because they're bought for jumping. Imagine buying the jumper and not actually going jumping with it.
Right, we need to move on quickly before Ronan Groome gets any more excited about bumpers. Right, the next section of the show is the big race in focus. And as we mentioned already, this week we're going to look ahead to the Hennessy, which is in 2 weeks' time, Ronan. And at the moment, with Boylesports, 7-1 joint favourites. Monbeg Genius, who disappointed on his return, was pulled up on his return, but I'm sure it'll be cherry ripe for this. Complete unknown 7-1 joint favourites. Mahler Mission for John McConnell is 8-1 with Boylesports. Midnight River is 10-1, and it's 11-1, 11 or 12-1, and bigger the remainder. What caught your eye? And I have a feeling we might come down on the same horse here.
Well, I haven't come down on a horse yet, but a few of them on the note list or the notepad even. Mahler Mission's a lovely profile for this now, I have to say. Like he was going to win the National Hunt Chase last season, bar, just an excited jockey there. Let's not beat around the bush. Unfortunately, he just probably went on a bit too soon and came down then at second last. Probably might still won anyway, the way the race panned out, who knows? But he's a real honest stayer, 3 miles. Lightly raced, probably more to come. Love the comeback run. That shows that he has the kind of pace to to lay up in a race like this, which would be running frantically enough, and the stamina obviously to get home. So he'd be right up there. Our Power, I'm not sure if I mentioned on this podcast, but he was one of my horses to follow, kind of outside horses, like darker horses, 12 for the season. I thought he was running really well in the National last year, and he just didn't see it out. But he'd won 2 good big handicap chases before that, so he'd be on my. He's a unique character,
isn't he? Given his pedigree.
By Power, yeah. Is he by Power? Or is that, I'm thinking of another horse?
Our Power, yes, correct, you are.
He's by Power, yeah. There's another horse by Power that's quite good as well, random. Anyway, he is interesting, but I love Sam Thomas as a trainer to, at these big handicap chases. He's done really well for the Di Walters kind of colours. He's got that stolen silver as well. It was interesting. He won first time up at Chepstow. I was looking at him, but he's probably a bit high now in the weights. And the other one I was looking at, the Skelton's mare there, Galia de Leto. I think she loves soft ground, big stare. Thought she was half interesting off a mark of 145 as well. Early days, I suppose, but those would be the kind of things I'd be looking at now. Like Kitty's Light as well. Imagine the amount of big races he won last season, and still only up to 147. I couldn't believe that. So he did a couple of pipe openers on the over hurdle as well. So yeah, it's a long short list at the moment, but those are the ones I was looking at.
All the big dances. But there's 2 I've jotted down, Roland, and I'm looking down towards the bottom of the weights, and one of my favourite moments on the Champ.ie podcast was the Rasher counter. Remember that one? That was some performance.
Brought home the bacon.
Brought home the bacon, exactly. Well, let's hope we can flag up some. The 2 of most of I love this race, by the way, but the 2 that are of most interest to me at this point in time is one trained by Nigel Twiston Davis, a horse that has been placed over at Newbury in the past, and a horse that featured on the show last year as one of your selections, Roland. Beauport, I think, has come right back down the ratings to an official chase mark of 140, and I just think he's had that pipe opener. I'm not entirely sure Connections were happy with his season last year. He obviously fell at entry when he went sent off 9-2 joint favourite, but I don't think the ground is going to be an issue. It'll be nicely weighted. I think 136 would have got you into this race last year. He's obviously getting in off 142, so he'll be nicely weighted in a race like this. The Twiston Davis team certainly are going well at the moment. They're over 20%, 26% strike rate in the last 2 weeks, and it strikes me as a horse that this race would suit. So I think Beauport, he jumps particularly well, 3 miles on testing ground at a big galloping track off a nice weight. I think he's interesting. That's Beauport, and he has had the benefit of a run as well. And the one that just might sneak in down the bottom is probably the one of most interest. And hope Davy Russell isn't watching the show, but he's by Scorpion, Major Dundee. This horse has had a pipe opener as well, obviously. How many times has the Hemmings Silks won this race in recent years? 137, so he might just get in right down the bottom, Major Dundee, for Alan King. And I thought he ran a very promising race. I was only beaten 5.5 lengths at Warwick on soft ground over 3 miles. And I think there's a big pot like this in Major Dundee. Last season, he was very, very impressive. I think it was the Midlands National at Uttoxeter over 4-2. So stamina is not going to be an issue. The ground is fine. He's a galloper, and he'll be able to creep away in a race like this, right down the bottom of the weight. So I think Major Dundee, 20-1 Beauport and 25-1 Major Dundee, they would be the ones that would make most appeal at this point in time. But I did see Francis Casey, Ronan, had Max Flamingo entered as well. Love to see him go over, but possibly the ground could be too testing.
Possibly, yeah. He likes a bit of decent ground, doesn't he? One just thing to consider on Mallar Mission, which should be popular Ante-Post, John McConnell yard, just not firing on all cylinders yet. I know he had a couple of seconds in Nintendo was one at Cheltenham, but I think that's a long old gap now to his last winner, so that might be something to consider if you're considering him Ante-Post.
Next section of the show, Ronan Groome, is the big question, and what a great question in from Thomas Daly in relation to national hunt jockeys both sides of the Irish Sea. Now, we could be answering this question all night, so I think what we'll do is we'll dedicate maybe a whole section to this show on one of our upcoming episodes. But I suppose to touch on the question briefly, top jockey in Ireland, top jockey in England each at the moment that you want to keep on side, shall we say, apart from the obvious?
Apart from the obvious, mine's going to be pretty obvious. I like, in England, I like Sean Bowen. I think if he's riding a horse, I'd always be happy with that. I'd be pretty confident that the horse is going to get his chance maximised. In Ireland, I'd probably go Mark Walsh. I think he has a high pressure job, shall we say, in the old green and gold. And when he has to get it done, he does get it done. And you see that more often than not. Obviously, Townend is top class as well, but obviously a better caliber horse. And to kind of throw in a claimer, Danny Gilligan, obviously, he's been sensational since he's thing, and he was seen to good effect in Navan on Sunday again as well.
Yeah, well, I think in the UK, Harry Cobden is very good with the fractions, and when he is on a chaser and he's out in front and he gets an uncontested lead, I'd be afraid if it was on one behind. But in terms of if I owned a horse and I wanted to go for my life and I had the beans down and I'm rounding the bend for home and I want someone in a finish, I think Sam Twiston-Davis is one of the most underrated jockeys in the business, and he doesn't spare it. And I think he's very good. He's very strong in a finish, and I have to say I do like Sam Twiston-Davis a lot. And in terms of Ireland, I think you could probably say the same for Paul Townend. You know, an uncontested lead, if he is up there in the van and he's on one of Willie's and they're fancied, I'd certainly be siding with Townend. But I think I'd have to agree. I think we discussed this off air. Michael O'Sullivan at the moment, he's ice cool and shades of Ruby Walsh. And I have to say he's a jockey that I think is going to go to the very, very top. And I think we've seen that already. But Biden 11 says, great show as usual. What way do you see the Pressbury Cup? Because that's his question in relation to it. Was obviously he's thinking 28. Obviously last year was it 18-10? What way do you see it?
Oh, gee, hard to see any difference really from what it would be. And Willie could, you know, what does he have? I think I see a Racing Post headline today where he has 80% of the Irish trained favourites are belonging to him. You know, more, or he has more than all the other trainers put together.
I'll tell you what would be interesting if you had Ireland, UK, and exclude JP McManus. Because JP could have an absolutely unbelievable festival. His prospects in novice hurdle division, his prospects in the novice chasing division. I think if you're staying on the right side of JP this year, you're doing the right thing. So interesting. I would have said possibly one back in favour of the Brits. I would have said possibly. I'm going to go 17-11. This year in favour of Ireland, so they might peg us back.
I go one the other way. I think it'll be 19 winners to Ireland this year, or at least 19. I tell you, like the trends, everything the trend says that Irish jumps trainers should be staying bigger than the British counterparts. The prize money's here. It's all state backed, as they say. Whereas in Britain, you know, you're seeing very uncompetitive racing there because there's just not enough. There's too many races and not enough good horses.
So, Ronan Groome, we are going to give our selections for week number 2 in just a moment. But I suppose... oh no, what am I doing?
Boylesports. Don't just bet. Choose wisely.
Yeah, so next section of the show is our selections. We're going to start reviewing portfolios, by the way, next week. So continue to get your selections down below in the comment section for a chance on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival, of course, Ronan, to win a VIP prize for two, VIP trip, should I say, for two to the Boylesports Irish Grand National on April 1st. So make sure to update your portfolio with your selections for this week, and we'll be giving our week 2 selection after this.
Grangy and Patrick Mullins.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp up there, out in front, was ready for John McConnell and Evan Carvey.
Western victory, Silver Lark. That'll be the finishing order.
Gowran Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Gowran is your number one choice for corporate days out, stag and hen party events, and an overall great local racing experience. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Goffs Thyestes Chase 2024 takes place on Thursday the 25th of January.
In the finish of the Goffs Thyestes, invitation only, and Ruby Walsh on the near side for Willie Mullins' 7th win of the race. Invitation only has beaten Alpha's Opus.
With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit gowranpark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now. Eddie and the team look forward to welcoming you all to Gowran Park Racecourse this winter.
Yes, and of course, if you haven't got your early bird tickets to Goffs Thyestes Chase Day on the 25th at Gowran Park, the 25th of January, that is, make sure to click the link in the video description. And Gowran Park, of course, 2024 memberships available up online for you. So we have just one selection apiece, Ronan. Last week it was Willmount for myself in the Supreme Novices Hurdle, 16-1, kindly enhanced by our sponsors, Boylesports and Allegory Devassi. You played it safe last week, Ronan Groome. Well, I have moved in on this one, Ronan, and there's been plenty of people have moved in on, but I will remember, before the dogs were barking, Ronan Groome, on our show last year, our first show of the season, our jumpers to follow, we did give him a really good mention. We actually put him up as one of our horses to follow. Mr. Policeman, before he was on the racecourse in Ireland, had 2 starts in France, both at Fontainebleau, and has been all the rage, hasn't he? And just with Facile Vega, I think he's the option of moving up in trip. I think this horse will stay at 2 miles, Mr. Policeman. And Willie's a great record in the Arkle. This season, Roland, Willie Mullins is going for 7 Arkle victories in 10 seasons. And I'm looking at the Arkle market, and I'm just thinking, the obvious ones there, obviously Marine Nationale, very impressive in the Supreme. Would it be a slight concern we haven't seen him at Navan? Maybe he didn't want to run against that would have been some chase, wouldn't it? Facile Vega in the pocket of Marine Nationale at Navan at the weekend.
He doesn't run till Christmas. I think that's been
so it doesn't run. So I'm going to go with Mr. Policeman at 10-1. That's enhanced out from 8-1. Look, I've got to get him in the team. I think this is a very, very exciting horse to follow this season. And look, we put Dysart Dynamo in last year, 12-1. I think Willie Mullins in the Arkle is certainly the way to side. And this horse is very, very athletic. He doesn't lack pace. Interesting listening to Danny Mullins's comments about the horse in the stable tours prior. And his column, Danny Mullins mentioned about the pace the horse has and his athleticism. And watching the way he jumps, even in France before ever last season at the beginning of the year, looking at his runs in France, he makes a real decent shape over hurdle, suggesting that he's going to make up into a lovely chaser. And I just thought what he'd done on the race course last year down at Cork, crabbing the form. Cashback was, last season went into that race rated in the mid 140s. For him to do that in his first start in the country, Sole Pretender, the ill-fated Sole Pretender was in behind, and you'd really good yardsticks in there, but he's one on the snaff. And in fairness, Michael Sullivan, we mentioned how cool a rider he is. Not saying he gave him a lot to do on that occasion, but he took his time. He, in his post-race comments, Michael O'Sullivan, his big takeaway about the horse was how relaxed he was. And you don't need me to tell you about the amount of people and I suppose the sources that have been raving about this horse. I just think I'm going to believe the hype, Ronan Groome. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go with Mr. Policeman in a race that, for me, I can only see 4 in the market that would interest me in any way. in terms of, winning the race, for example. And In the Pocket is one of those. And I think that horse, I could see this horse moving up in trip. So your left foot basically Marine Nationale, Facile Vega, who for me, I think could also be better up in trip. And then you come down on Mr. Policeman, who I think is really, really unexposed. And I love his profile, and I'm going to take a chance. I don't think you agree, though.
No, I think you've made a decent enough thing. I get that there was one run last season, and it was a big run on the figures. I just wonder, was it absolutely as good as it looked?
Well,
but
one thing to say about Willie Mullins, Arkle contenders in the last couple of seasons, for example, El Fabiolo, very lightly raced. We didn't see him in a novice hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. We didn't see an Ergamine in a novice hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival. He minds these horses with a view to go and chasing, and obviously that's what he's done here. His entries in the Morgiana this weekend, but Willie likes to tease and wind people up. But I think this horse is going chasing. He will be a leading Arkle contender for me.
Yeah, well, best of luck to you. I think some of the horses in the race probably have a lot better profiles over hurdles, but I do get all the hype, and I do think that was a big run. So, yeah.
So we've two Richie horses in the Road to Cheltenham Challenge area, Allegory de Vassé and Mr. Policeman.
Unlucky for poor Rich.
And Lassie Mount, if she was a bit bigger a price, she'd interest me. She's very short for the mares, but I think they've a nice team once again, the Richies. So yeah, exciting times. That has been episode number 2 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge, Roland. Cannot wait for episode 3 already. We've lots to look forward to this weekend. Anything, I suppose, catch your eye? I suppose this weekend upcoming, we're on to Punchestown, the Punchestown Racing Festival, and the John Durkin. Certainly a race to look forward to.
Very much so. Obviously, the Morgiana as well this weekend. They're all going festival crazy these days. There was the Punchestown Winter Festival, and then we have the Fairy House Winter Festival after that. I'd say we'll go on the Sunday, Basil, will we? We like that meeting there. We'll go and...
yes, Fairy House, the Royal Bond meeting. We'll definitely go to that.
The triple grade winner. So we'll might go to that. But yeah, obviously looking forward to seeing... who runs in the John Durkin, Gallop on the Champ out, and then the Morgiana, whether it'll probably be Stateman, I guess, or Imperi Pass. So see what happens there. But obviously top class weekend upcoming.
Absolutely. And thank you very much as well for watching this episode number 2. Get your portfolio, if you haven't already, if you haven't put week 1 selection in, not too late, get your selections in, and make sure to smash the like on the video. We got plenty of likes on the video last week, Roland, and lots of new subscribers. So if you haven't already, make sure to do so for lots more Cheltenham related content. Look forward to it, Roland, and we'll be back this time next week. See you next Monday.